Uh, Good afternoon, Sudhir Gopalakrishna.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm quite happy to see you in your office.
Happy to host you.
Pariskq, is it? What's the name of the company?
Pariskq IoT Solutions.
Okay. What is this Pariskq is all about? What is that you're offering?
We are a IoT solutions specifically for logistics, with a major focus right now on fleet management. But we intend to get into IoT solutions for the entire logistics and supply chain space.
Okay.
So we are positioning ourselves as a systems integrator, solution provider who would be able to integrate multiple IoT devices and platforms and provide a holistic solution to the end customer. The end customer can be a shipper or a company, manufacturer, or it can also be a fleet operator or a logistics company. So that is our focus area. So we work with varied devices, right from a basic GPS device to sensors to cameras, ADAS cameras, etc. And we are also trying to now venture into cargo monitoring using cargo sensors or cargo IoT devices.
When you say cargo IoT devices, you are talking about RFID and barcode,
Yes,
those kind of
yes,
things.
RFID
Each individual items is separate SKU or something you will talk about.
Yes.
Okay, Sudhir, I know
The
you are.
ability to monitor each SKU or each unit is what we are looking at.
Okay, basically, this is part of the cargo safety move.
Yes.
Okay. Sudhir, I know you almost for more than a 10 years time.
Yes.
I know you used to be one of those GPS suppliers to
Yes.
automotive companies
Yes.
for the finished vehicle logistics movement. That's
yes.
why I know you. And over a period of time, you're really grown. Those days, a lot of, like all these devices used to be imported from China.
Yes.
On the, back end, the service was
Yeah,
done locally.
solutions also were not from India. Yes, you're right.
Take me through, from there, you moved into a different area. I mean, you there is a scope creep, and now I also understand that you also work with Natadine,
Yes.
one of the leading companies, global companies. Tell me, what is this arrangement with Natadine?
So we are a solution channel partner for Natadine. We implement the Natadine solution wherever the requirement scope is not just the safety part, but also the telematics and the other fleet management part. So in customers where there is a requirement which goes beyond safety or just safety, we implement the entire solution, which includes the Natadine solution plus the regular telematics solution and or any other such solution which requires a holistic or a single platform to be monitoring the entire fleet.
Acha, Sudhir, tell me, I get a feeling that, this kind of IoT solutions or anything, related to trucking, fleet management, all those kind of things, it all becomes something like a pan ka dukan. There are too many people. Is there really such a huge market?
So see, the market is huge, but the problem is, as you referred, there are too many scattered players trying to, making it, as in your sense that you just said, pan ka dukan kind of an offering, which actually the solution is not. So for us, what we focus on is to deliver solutions which are more holistic and more complete for the customer. We don't look at selling a device, or we don't look at just offering selling a device and getting out from the customer's engagement. So our engagement typically starts with understanding the customer's operations, understanding the customer's pain point, then coming up with a solution which is probably going to help him run his fleet or run his entire supply chain in a better manner. We don't look at just selling a device and getting out. The problem is there are quite a few players who are just looking at selling the device as a product and getting out of the entire equation. But we do not engage in that. So what we see is that there is a scope for these kind of a long-term engagements with large fleet owners or manufacturing companies, rather than being just a seller of a device. So that is where we pitch ourselves as. So in this space, there is not many players who are doing it. Of course, there are many players who are selling devices, but there are not many players who are providing solutions. So we want to be in the solutions space, where hardware is a mode to deliver the data and not the ultimate goal. So many people selling the hardware is the ultimate goal. For us, that is not the goal. Our goal is to engage with the company for a longer And our typical
value-added services. Okay.
And our typical engagement with any customer is between 36 to 60 months. We don't engage with anything less than that. If it is only a sell, we don't get into that kind of a customer at all.
Yeah, Sudhir, like now the BS6 coming in, and like I keep saying that on board,
Yes.
Like a gadgets, everything is really gone electronic
Yes.
and everything. And two things, even before we started recording, you've spoken about the driver's cabin are not going to be what it used to be. It is going to have more and more gadgets, more and more kind of a thing.
Yes.
Can you throw more light on what exactly you mean by more and more gadgets coming in? As it is, like with the driver-facing camera, this kind of a thing, there is a little, bit of resistance.
Privacy issues, okay.
Yeah, from the driver's side.
Yes.
When you're going to add more and more kind of a thing, so it's going to add little more pressure on the drivers per se. But tell me what other things which you're talking about when you say the driver cabin is going to have more and more, electronic equipment and all those kind of. Throw more light, please.
So most OEMs today are starting to fit their vehicles with some sort of onboard diagnostics, which basically helps the driver or the fleet manager know how the vehicle is performing. So this is a new dimension that has just got added very recently. I think from a couple of years, BS6 actually has accelerated this entire process. So now preventive maintenance and better maintenance of the vehicles is a kind of a tool which is now available to many of the fleet managers. So this is a new area where technology is coming in. So now technically what you're saying is, drivers will probably have to get used to a lot more technology being around them. So they will probably very soon, I think, onboard monitors will be a norm going forward. Monitors which will be giving the driver a lot more information than just it's not going to be a TV. It is just going to be a lot more information. It might be information of the route they're taking. It might be information of the cargo, or it might be even information of the vehicle that they're driving. So drivers will have to get tech savvy. There are pluses and minuses. Of course, their privacy concerns are there. But if you look at the other side, this also has helped, technology has also helped drivers get exonerated very fast in cases of accident. I mean, we ourselves, since we have started deploying Natrodyne, I think we see at least 3 to 4 cases a month where the driver gets exonerated very fast because of the presence of the ADAS solution.
Precisely, this is what, like Green Lines, Mr. Vimani
Yes.
told me about it. How, like a couple of the drivers, when they got into this kind of a mess, the ADAS, DMS kind of a stuff, the recorded thing was really able to exonerate them, get them out of the, like a police. Otherwise, the police ka kich to zyada ho jata hai.
So by default in the Indian, at least in the Indian context, is they always blame the commercial vehicle, or they always blame the bigger vehicle.
Need not be the case.
That may not be the case in most cases, because truck drivers typically are safe drivers. They very rarely are they bad drivers, But of course, there are bad apples in all, baskets. But what happens is this has kind of helped many of them get exonerated very fast. I mean, we have seen cases where the drivers got out within 2-3 hours. But that has kind of come to the aid of the drivers. So drivers probably need to understand that technology is here to help them. Maybe there will be some sort of a privacy issue for them in certain times, but that is something that they can compromise on, because the larger benefit that they're getting is this. And going forward, once I feel when cargo monitoring also becomes IoT enabled, things will become even more complicated for a driver to manage. Like, he will have to probably understand how technology works in terms of all these things. He will have to ensure that these things are in order when he is moving on the road. These things are factors which will now become more and more relevant, and that will be a challenge to upskill our drivers as well.
Yeah, tell me, Sudhir, this is all additional extra expenses as far as the fleet owner is concerned. Correct. I mean, how receptive are the fleet owners to install this kind of, technological, gadgets? How exactly, what is the response? So, is there still any resistance?
There is resistance for sure. There is resistance is there, because the mindset today for any large fleet owner is how to cut down on costs. So he does not typically want to add to any cost to his day-to-day operations. Even a rupee of cost per kilometer is a big deal for them. But we are pushing it in terms of safety, in terms of the reduction in accidents, the better management that will actually give them an ROI. So fuel sensors is one area where we are working a lot. So fuel sensors is also something which is really hot right now. We are selling a lot of fuel sensors every month, and that is one area where the ROI is immediately visible. So fuel theft constitutes almost 7 to 8% or even higher in many of the fleets. So a reduction of 7 to 8% of their daily operations is really huge for many of them. So there are certain areas of technology where the resistance is less. There are certain areas where it is high. For example, ADAS is still very premature, as I can see in the Indian industry right now. But going forward, we feel that it might become a norm. Many big companies will start insisting on them because there are benefits to the end customer also in this.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like any shipper will be interested in the cargo safety,
Yes.
So to ensure the cargo safety, cargo safety, ensuring a cargo safety means ensuring a vehicle safety plus a driver safety.
Correct.
So you are confident that gradually this will become a very norm,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Tell me, Sudhir, what is the competition like? Like I told you, it's like a pan dukan. Like every I keep seeing plenty of people offering this kind of the things.
Well, from what I have seen, sir, it is actually reduced. The number of fleet management companies today, or the IoT companies offering fleet management company today, is probably a little lesser or a lot lesser than what it was 3-4 years ago. Simply because no longer are customers interested in pure track and trace. They want additional solutions, they want additional value. So it is a little more complex to deliver these kind of solutions. So the number of companies have definitely gone down from what it was a few years ago, when I believe there was a time when there were, I think, at least 300 to 400 companies in this space in the country. But now it's, if I'm not wrong, it must be down below the 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good.
The
So
active,
weak,
serious players are below 50.
So the weak elements have been eliminated.
Yeah.
They all gone out.
Yeah.
See, those who are only selling the hardware, they're all out of business.
Yeah.
So unless you
Those
provide
who are
an
trying to
end-to-end
sell this
solution,
like a mobile phone or a set-top box, no, they're gone. They're gone.
Okay.
Most of them are gone. If I can count today, the serious players probably are less than 15 who are actually serious about providing solutions.
Tell me, Sudhir, like all the commercial vehicle manufacturers, they all have deep pockets.
Correct.
Okay, and see, you are an outsider. Okay.
Correct.
So don't you see, or looking at the possibility of all these guys, setting? I mean, already they have their own technology
they do.
team.
Yes, they do.
So if these people really jump into the fray in a big way, people like you, outsiders, don't you get evaporate?
No, so there is a difference in what an OEM offers as a solution and what we offer. I mean, there are certain areas of solutioning that as a third-party integrator that we can do, which OEMs typically don't get into. So an OEM's perspective is mostly mainly to do with the maintenance of the vehicle. So when they put an onboard diagnostics device or a OBD device or a GPS device or whatever you call it, their focus or the solution focus of them is more towards the maintenance of the vehicle. But when a customer buys or a fleet owner buys a vehicle, of course maintenance is a big part of it, his requirement, but it is not the only requirement. He is also serving a third party customer. He is his own customer, an end customer, a shipper. So he has certain requirements of the business side, which the OEM will probably never get into.
Why do you say that?
Reason is very simple.
Like rightly said, as it is, maintenance is a very key element as far as a OEM is concerned.
Correct.
When it understands the like a end user looking for something beyond that, they can easily add that as a value-added services.
There are restrictions. I mean, even if you look at the telematics market globally, okay, if you look at Europe, which is one of the most mature telematics markets, the biggest players are the aftermarket companies.
Okay.
The reason being, there is a constant requirement for innovation, adding value, and even a 10 truck customer will ask for some sort of a customization which might be outside the scope of a OEM.
Okay.
Which guys like us can do.
You customize it to suit the customer.
Yes, which I can do. So I have probably a 20 truck customer who's serving a very niche market of, let's say, only in Bangalore. He's doing some very specific business, and he says, Sudhir, I want a software which is kind of customized to me. I want to use the device which is coming on board the vehicle, but I don't want the platform which is there. So that is where we come in. So that is where we want to be, and that is where we feel that is the maximum scope. And OEM companies will typically not want to get into there, at least none of them have till now. And I don't see them also getting into it, simply because what is the focus of a truck manufacturer? He wants the end customer or his customer to maximize the usage of his truck, right? He wants him to run it to the maximum, use it to the best, and generate the maximum money out of that particular asset. But for a fleet owner, when he buys it depending on his end customer. And he needs to satisfy the requirements of his end customer. It might be a car manufacturer, it might be a pharma company, it might be even let's say a food company or a food chain. So these guys have very specific requirements, and in order to suit or to get the data from this asset to that end customer is the challenge. Yeah. So if you look at an asset, a truck as an asset, who are the people today who are interested in the data coming out of it? There is the truck manufacturer, there's the fleet owner, there's the end customer, and a new guy is getting added, the insurance guy now. So there are 4 to 5 people who are interested in the data that is coming out of a truck today.
Yeah, so the last 2 questions. One is, see, look, when you talk about OEM's interest in this kind of a services, see, if it is a Tata or a Leyland or, Bharat Benz or Daimler or somebody, they will basically be trying to design something to suit, whatever their own kind of a truck.
Yes.
Whereas, outsider like you, third party like you, will be agnostic.
Yes.
You can provide customized solution for any make.
Exactly.
Right? Am I right?
Yes. So there's another challenge also, sir. So what happens is if a customer is there of a 100 fleet truck, and he has a combination of Bharat Benz, Ashok Leyland, and other thing, and he would not like to go to 3 platforms to view all that.
Absolutely. So you can provide a simple customized solution catering to all the 3 different makes, right?
I might have to integrate my platform with the platform of Ashok Leyland or the platform of Bharat Benz.
But it's a single window kind of a stuff. Yes. Yeah, one last question. You have been in the industry for more than 15-20 years now?
Yeah,
15 years at least?
15 plus years.
Yeah, 15 plus years. On a scale of 1 to 10, what it was, when you got into the business, where it is or what number it stands here, and where you see the maturity of, IoT, IoT, all the stuff which you do over the next 5 years' time. Please, over to you.
So, if you say in terms of maturity, you want me to give a 0 to 10 for maturity, I think we are still at around 5 or 6. There is still a couple of points that we need to reach. In the next 5 years, definitely I think it will go above 8. There will be a kind of a integration of multiple services. There will be some sort of a shake-up. One more round of shake-up will happen. There needs to be some clarity from the government as well on this front. So the AS 140 is still not being implemented across the country in a single policy. There is a lot of confusion. There is a lot of mayhem in the AS 140 implementation. I think somebody has to take the bull by the horns and try to implement a standard AIS 140 policy across the country, which is still not happening. So that is one of the other big concerns. If that happens, then I think the adoption levels will go up very high, very high. I still think close to 30 to or even 40 to 50% of the trucks today in India don't have any sort of a technology, which is still a big number to be served. And I think the sales of trucks in India today is also touching 9 lakhs plus. So there is still a big market. It's only going to boom. So there is a very big scope going forward. Integration of devices or single window solutions will be the key going forward. And solving the pain point of the fleet manager, making his life much more easier is the next big challenge. And the third challenge is to make sure that the shipper has visibility on his cargo or his truck or whatever at the end of the day in a much more easier fashion than what it is today. Even today, the shippers find it a little difficult to track their vehicles. They need to probably go to multiple platforms or still make calls to do it. So visibility of that is still a challenge. So that also will probably become a much more mature solution going forward for the end shippers also.
See, one final question.
Please, sir, no.
See, like in this IoT segment, the Indian scenario, when I ask you to compare an Indian scenario with a global scenario, I mean, what is the antar? What is the difference, or how large the gap is?
In terms of maturity of the solution, we still have a long way to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a very long way to catch up. Simply because I think our drivers need to be more skilled. Our fleet managers also need to be more aware of what they need to do. And there is still a lot of challenges in making a solution work well in this challenge. Even if we implement the best of the devices into the vehicle today, keeping it running, keeping it working, and the fleet manager getting the reports or the data that he requires is still a little bit of challenge because of various things like, tampering is still an issue today.
Absolutely.
It's gone down. I mean, I wouldn't say 10,
it's not
15,
been totally eliminated.
15 years back to compare karenge, so it has gone down very drastically, but still it is persistent. Fleets will have to kind of change their SOPs to make technology a part and parcel of their daily operations. So the day they start making it, many of them have. I mean, there are, I can say at least many examples I have seen where not just the shipper but even the transporter has made technology a part and parcel of their daily operations SOP. But it is still happening at a very slow pace. Maybe the pace for that has to catch up. Once that catches up, I think India's market will also mature much faster compared to Europe. I mean, I always try to compare it to Europe because I think I haven't studied the American market much. But the European market is a lot
far
more,
ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
far ahead. I don't think there's any truck in Europe today which will not have a box.
Absolutely.
There's no truck in Europe which will come out without a box. Either it's a OEM box or one more box which is put by an aftermarket guy. Typically, that is the case from what I have seen and I've heard, because I do have some sort of connections or colleagues whom I talk to who know the European market well. So this is what I have heard, that there is no truck. And look at the subscription cost. What we get paid in India today for a vehicle per month is probably $3, $4. I think in Europe it is $10 to $20, $15 to $20.
Per what?
Per vehicle per month.
Per vehicle per month. Yeah. Okay. Ajay, tell me, I'm sorry, again, I'm taking a little more time.
No
Tell me this, is there any structured fleet management course or something for the guys who really actually, and not the owner, taking, ठीक है मैं इसमें लगा दूंगा, ऐसा नहीं है. So ultimately the fleet managers, they are not at that level of, educated people, the middle level. So is there any structured fleet management courses offered by anybody, including OEMs? Structured. I'm not saying that ठीक है हमने बेच दिया.
You mean a course which has a technology focus? No, I haven't come across anything as of now, sir.
Don't you think that's a requirement?
Yes, there is definitely a requirement. Fleet management courses or supply chain course or whatever which are there, I don't know how much of those courses focus on technology. And if technology becomes a part of that course, definitely we will have more people coming out who are aware about what to do, how to manage a large fleet, using technology as a tool rather than, just saying, okay, it's a compliance, I have to probably put GPS today because my customer is asking for it or something like that. It's the attitude towards technology also will start of changing. It is changing, not that it is not, but yeah, it is. The pace is not as much as anybody wants or what we want.
Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you very much. Nice talking to you. Take care.
Thank you, sir.